Hello, partners! With the help of my writer and producer, Dennis Daly, we've looked at some really great Americans. Many have been lost in time. That's why I think it's so wonderful that we have the chance to salute these courageous men and women. In this week's report, we're going to do a second salute to a very funny guy that we call the Roly-Poly Patriot. Remember? Roly-poly, daddy's little fatty. I'm sure you're going to grow up and be a man someday. His name was Henry Knox. We looked at his contributions in one of our original weekly reports back in January. But this time around, Dennis and I thought since he was one of our best received reports that we would visit him again and add some new information. Henry Knox was a military officer and a top aide to George Washington. When the new government got underway in 1789, Washington named him as the nation's first Secretary of War. Today we call that office the Secretary of Defense. If you remember, Knox was the owner of a bookstore in downtown Boston. He was the last person you'd think of who would become an advisor to George Washington. He was chubby and funny, and if he was alive today, he'd likely have his own comedy show on some cable channel. Okay. When the American Revolutionary War broke out in 1775, Henry Knox befriended General George Washington. He quickly became the chief artillery officer of the Continental Army. In this role, he accompanied George Washington on most of his campaigns and had some involvement in many major actions of the war. He established training centers for artillerymen and manufacturing facilities for weaponry that were valuable assets to the fledgling nation. As the nation's first ever Secretary of War, Knox played a key role in overseeing the nation's military activity in the Northwest Indian War. He was formally responsible for the nation's relationship with the Indian population in the territories it claimed, articulating a policy that established federal government supremacy over the states in relating to Indian nations. This may not sound real right, but it is. Even though Knox was a believer in the sentiment that America should take over the entire continent, he was one of the few government leaders who said Indian nations should be treated better. That's right. We feel like the Indians were just kind of run over. They weren't, but you know what I mean. Today there are a lot of cities and counties around the nation named for Knox. For example, one of the original counties in Indiana, from which most of other counties were carved, is Knox County. And let's not forget places such as Knoxville, Tennessee. Sadly, partners, even though Henry Knox was a great military leader, he was a horrible businessman. You see, after he was in the government service, that is, he retired to the state of Maine. He started a big business empire, but it was all based on borrowed money. And partners, here's a sad fact about old Henry Knox that we didn't mention the first time around. He died of an infection of the throat after badly injuring himself on a chicken bone while he was having dinner. Imagine that. That was in 1806. Yes, we owe a real debt to old roly-poly Henry Knox. It's sad that so few people remember who he is. But that's what we try to do each week right here. Yes, we try to remember and pay tribute to the great people who are the real patriots. So there you have it, a report we call Revisiting the Roly-Poly Patriot. Roly-poly, daddy's little fatty. I'm sure you're going to grow up and be a man someday. Well, you know the drill. Look up there for those 3 boxes at the right. The one with the red X, and click on it. Don't click on anything else. You'll return instantly to my report page. Well, Dennis, at this moment you're resting on the Amtrak train whizzing along those railroad tracks, relaxing and listening to the clickety-clack, clickety-clack, clickety-clack of the wheels, and looking out the window at the scenery as you pass by. Thanks for continuing to send my reports. I love doing these videos, messages, and partners, thanks to you for all your feedback. I love you guys. Keep up the good work. We love America. Oh, golly. Go get 'em, Tigers!